Coming up in the morning edition, BPL officials still investigating the circumstances surrounding 3 fires at the Clifton Pier. The Police Staff Association responding to critics over a number of police-involved shootings, and the Junkanoo Museum set to open its doors.
It's a Tuesday. Good morning, everyone. I'm LaDawn Davis, and this is the Morning Edition. Thank you so much for waking up with us. We are experiencing heavy downpours and can expect more showers throughout the morning. And for weather conditions on the outside, here's Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean. Good morning, Basil.
Good morning, LaDawn. Well, we only have those showers in spots. We'll tell you all about that later. But right now, in the tropics, we have Florence, which is heading towards the Carolina. And then there is Isaac also heading towards the Lesser Antilles. And outside of our studios, we have mostly clear skies. Just some recent showers that took place. 76 degrees is your current temperature. Relative humidity quite rich at 92%. Winds are east-northeast at 1 mile per hour. Your barometric pressure 1,016.0 millibars. It's 29.89 inches, and it is falling. Temperatures around the islands this morning: Greentole Key at 77, 77 in Freeport, Marsh Harbor at 80 degrees, in the Berry Islands 81, 81 also in Bimini, 81 in Harbor Island, Roxanne, Eleuthera, Otterstown, Cat Island 82, 80 in Stanley Key, Exuma, also Kemps Bay and South Andrews at 80, Fresh Creek, Central Andrews at 81 degrees. In San Salvador and Rum Key, 82, 80 in Crooked Island, Betsy Bay, Meguana 81, 81 also in Acklands, Ragged Island 80 degrees, Matthew Town, Agua 80, and the Turks and Caicos Islands 80 degrees. Boating forecast for today: light and variable winds, flat seas 1 to 3 feet. Your high tide will take place at 8:38 this morning, low tide at 2:55 in the afternoon. For the central and southeastern islands, east to southeast winds 10 to 15 knots, in the wave heights 2 to 4 feet. That's going to do it for your first look at weather. The morning edition. Stay tuned. Your forecast for today and tonight is still ahead.
Thanks a lot, Basil. And now it's time for your traffic report this morning. We now go live to Sieska Adderley, who is out and about this morning. Good morning, Sieska.
Good morning, LaDawn, and good morning, Bahamas. We're coming to you live from the Centerville and Collins Avenue area where it is wet, and as a result, your commute, you should take precautionary measures as the road is wet. Now, police have told us before that in a scenario like this, instead of being a half a space between the cars, you should break for at least a space and a half to provide for in the case of slipping or anything like that. I also see that there are cars behind me that are still speeding and not taking precaution as the roads are wet, and that can cause definitely a challenge to your commute. Visibility could also be a challenge to your commute. So in a case like this, drive slow, cautious, ensure that your windshield wipers are working, make sure that your seatbelts are securely fastened and that your little ones are securely fastened as well as you head on the road for your work commute and also your school commute. Once again, we're coming to you live from the Collins Avenue and Centerville area where traffic is obviously picking up as it approaches the 8 o'clock hour as school and work begins in a matter of minutes. So back to you in the studio, LaDawn.
Thanks a lot, Sieska. One day after a third fire erupted at the Bahamas Power and Light Company's Clifton Pier site, fire officials are continuing to monitor the situation and avert any future fires. BPL issued a statement Monday evening which confirmed 2 minor fires at the Clifton Pier Power Station, one Sunday evening, which was extinguished by the fire department, and the second on Monday morning, which was extinguished by BPL personnel. This after firefighters battled a major fire there on Friday night. BPL officials say there was no additional damage as a result of the 2 fires that are currently visible, and BPL doesn't see any further impact in its present load shedding schedule, nor did it estimate the cost of the 3 fires. As investigations continue, Chief Superintendent of Fire Services Walter Evans told ZNS News that they will continue to closely monitor the Clifton Pier station.
We have a team of officers who will be making periodic checks. I've already sent out the directives for that to take place, and we will be moving into BPL periodically at various intervals, during the course of today and maybe over the next few days, just to make sure that if there's any more uprising, we'll be able to address it very, very early and to keep things pretty much at a minimum. But more so, we want to prevent those incidents from taking place.
Opposition leader and minister responsible for BPL in the previous administration, Philip Davis, was at Clifton Pier yesterday. He told reporters a transparent accounting of the situation at BPL should be given to the public. He claimed that while in office, his Progressive Liberal Party left a plan to solve BPL's issues.
Electricity bill was in the neighborhood of 28 to 31 cents per kilowatt hour, down at least, right? From 42 cents from the May 2012 re-elected. So we had a plan that was working. And because we addressed the legacy issues that we met in place. One of which, of course, was the seepage, was this environmental disaster we have out here. You can see the plants are still being carried out as we left it, and I commend them for doing that.
Despite public criticism of police officers following a number of police-involved shootings that have resulted in deaths this year, Chairman of the Police Staff Association, Sonny Miller, is encouraging officers to stay focused. His comments came after the coroner's court recently in 2 incidents ruled that a single officer unlawfully killed 2 victims in separate incidents in 2013. Miller says while there may be a few bad apples on the police force, officers for the most part look to protect the public.
Despite what we see or what we hear being going on in the coroner's court or anything like that, listen, let's not stray away from doing our job. Let's not stray away from doing our job because we know at the end of the day, so long as we do what's right, we're covered. We're going to be protected. So again, just to say hats off to our members who continue to work hard.
Miller says police officers do a very difficult job, the intensity of which many in the public often overlook. He urged new officers to look to senior officers who have a wealth of knowledge and learn as much as they can.
We make the ultimate sacrifice. So people don't know in most cases, people don't know when we cry, people don't know who we cry to. As a matter of fact, the criminal element of our society, quite frankly, don't care whether we cry or not. But there are cases where we call one another up and we have to encourage one another to, listen, let's continue. We may have 1 or 2 that may have been discouraged based on results that came out of coroner's court. Things that we think were clear-cut. Again, we believe public perception may have played a role in 1 or 2 things.
Police need your help in locating a wanted suspect. The man pictured here is Hensley Penniman, age 52 years. Penniman is known to have lived in the Chippingham community. He is wanted for questioning in connection with burglary, armed robbery, and sexual assault investigations. Penniman is described as being about 5'8" inches tall, slim build with a dark brown complexion. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Penniman is asked to contact the Central Detective Unit at 502-9991 or 2 or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. With a claim that more than 20,000 signatures are signed on a petition to save the Lighthouse Point on Eleuthera, residents of the island, local and national NGOs are making it clear that the unsustainable development of the area will not be supported. These signatures, they claim, is a clear message to the government that they should instead support a sustainable development option. Students from the Central Eleuthera High School are the newest group from the island of Eleuthera to come forward and oppose the Disney development of the Lighthouse Point. They stopped by our ZNS studios yesterday in the hopes of encouraging Bahamians to join their campaign to save Lighthouse Point.
I've heard stories from my grandfather and my mother about places, specifically beaches, that they used to go to when they were my age, but now I can't go there anymore because they're restricted due to implementation of selling it and then putting infrastructure on it, making developments. It would really deprive a lot of Eleutherans the opportunity to experience what is on their own island.
So when we went there, we experienced the different environment, the plants, the animals that are there, and breaking that down will destroy all of that, what I just said, and we're trying to upbuild it and make it like a national park so that you can visit, and we're trying to to let more Bahamians to come and see the Lighthouse Point because it is gorgeous. It is very beautiful. We're not trying to close it off. We just want people to come and visit Save Lighthouse Point, and you could go on Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat and do hashtag Save Lighthouse Point, hashtag Stand With Us.
And still to come, we take a look at an attraction worth seeking. It's an eye into the country's #1 cultural expression. We'll explain when the morning edition comes right back.
Know how you can save more money, save more time, earn more interest, and have more for the future? The solution is an account from Fidelity Bank. With our ASU Savings, fixed deposits, and preferred client program, you can get free financial advice from our team of experts, competitive interest rates, and free online banking for simple and safe banking anytime, anywhere. Open a fixed deposit or savings account with Fidelity by visiting a branch today. Get into the rhythm of saving with Fidelity. Fidelity, we're good for you.
We are their mentor. And when we live long enough to see them succeed, then we know that we have done a great thing, because that's what we're here for.
Once we get to the kids and we can get Jesus in their heart, then if only we affect one child, that child goes to school in the neighborhood where they might have at least 30 children in the class, and time they spread that good joy, that would be tremendous.
Food. It is as essential as air is to breathe and water is to drink. Food is life. But where does our food come from? The Bahamas has more than 2,000 farmers, but it's hardly enough to keep up with our growing population. Or is it? We traveled the nation to find out the answers to the questions everyone is asking. Can we feed ourselves?
Together, they engage in a range of activities which may seem simple, but have the potential to give Sophonia the head start she needs.
In terms of this program, yes, it's going on in some islands across the Caribbean, but on the wider level, clearly, how important is that whole issue of the early childhood development?
I lived in fear for my life. I lived in fear for my children. I lived in fear of how I'd provide for them. I thought that he would change when he promised he would, and I forgave him every time he said that he was sorry. I became devalued as a human being until one day I ceased to exist as one.
Let's talk. Call the Bahamas Crisis Center's free 24-hour hotline at 328-0922. Sometimes a conversation can change a life.
For the latest news and highlights in Bahamian culture, tune in to the new Junkanoo 242, Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on the ZNS Radio and Television Network. Radio Bahamas 1540 a.m. on 104.5 FM and TV 13. Each week, hosts Arlene Nash Ferguson, Eric Hall, and Darren Bastian engages listeners with some of the movers and shakers of Junkanoo and Bahamian culture. Don't miss Junkanoo 242, Saturday at 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on the ZNS Radio and Television Network.
Welcome back to the morning edition. In a matter of weeks, a new Junkanoo Museum will open its doors, hoping to grab the attention of Bahamians and visitors fascinated by the #1 cultural expression. Dozens of Junkanoo costumes from parades as far back as 2006 will be on display. My cameraman Valentino Albania and I got a sneak peek of the museum that still has a lot more work to be done before its soft launch.
I have over 40 pieces of costumes on the floor of the museum.
It's called Juju Canoe, a Junkanoo art museum designed to give visitors and Bahamians alike a taste of what the country's #1 cultural expression has to offer all year round. Designer and tailor Victor Juju Johnson was influenced by the late architect and Junkanooer Jackson Burnside to carve out all things uniquely Bahamian to exhibit for future generations.
I do most like dances, small costumes. I can do just about everything in Junkanoo. And also I can do large costumes, but I choose not to simply because the host them is difficult. You need space. So I have thought that with myself, I at least do about 20 pieces of costume just about every year for different Junkanoo from different groups.
Johnson's cousin and designer Terrence Red Eye McSweeney gave us a breakdown on the creativity behind most of the Junkanoo masterpieces on display in the museum.
You will see a special piece of a wedding dress out of crepe paper. You will see crepe paper being used in different art designs and form. You will see the different structures of costumes that he does. And being an experienced person who has trained and did his tailoring training over in New York, he has brought all that back home.
And while Johnson agrees that the Bahamas is rich with talent, he believes more must be done to promote Junkanoo products on the world stage. Johnson also credited the work of a Bahamian icon for sharing in his vision.
I see a lot of tourists walking about, no place to go, nothing to see. We don't have any entertainment for them as such like that. And you know, I admired a good friend of mine, Sparabus. He's doing a wonderful job in doing things like that, you know. And I thought about this about maybe 8-10 years ago to do this.
The Shell Saxon superstar at heart plans to do a soft launch at the end of the month.
September being Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, our Sieska Adderley is standing by with urologist Dr. Pinto. Good morning again, Sieska.
Good morning. This morning we're coming to you live from the Centerville Medical Center, and as you may or may not be aware, September is known as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, and a gentleman that knows all about it and the importance of getting tested and treating those patients is Dr. Gregory Pinto. Good morning, Dr. Pinto. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Good, and welcome to the morning edition.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so just first of all, let the Bahamian public understand what type of a doctor you are.
I'm a Bahamian urologist, so that's a surgical subspecialist dealing with many issues, including prostate cancer, kidney, bladder, ureter, so anything related to those organs, the genitals for males, females, and children.
Okay, now let's talk about prostate cancer and what you've been finding and the trends.
Unfortunately, prostate cancer is going to affect 1 in 7 men. That's worldwide. And in the Bahamas, Bahamian men are at greater risk because long-term studies have shown that men of African ancestry have a more aggressive form of prostate cancer, unfortunately. So prostate cancer is not colorblind. It affects black men in general in higher numbers than their Caucasian or Asian counterparts. Unfortunately as well, they have a more aggressive form that usually appears as often as 10 years earlier than their other racial counterparts. So we need to be very prudent in terms of screening patients for prostate cancer in the Bahamas so that we can pick up prostate cancer early. If we can pick up prostate cancer early, which all requires is a yearly annual blood test, a PSA, prostate-specific antigen blood test, we can cure you at almost 100% rate. So the 5-year survival of someone with early organ-confined prostate cancer is almost 100%. 10-year survival is about 98%. So prostate cancer, although it's going to affect a large number of Bahamian men, it's very treatable if we catch it early.
And at what age, Dr. Pinto, are you finding?
Well, most men are going to get prostate cancer at 64 to 66. Unfortunately, many men will never get any screening done because of the fear of the digital rectal exam. They feel of the embarrassment, the violation. They're not going to ever see a urologist or a general practitioner in terms of trying to pick up prostate cancer early. And since 2016, worldwide bodies have not completely disregarded, but they have found that there's very little validity in doing the routine digital exam, especially for men in their 40s. So that's not part of our screening process anymore. So I'm not going to do a digital exam if a man in their 40s comes to see me. All we're going to do is a routine blood test. If there's something abnormal, we'll do more specific blood tests. There's a urine RNA test that can pick up prostate cancer in terms of do you have low risk or high risk prostate cancer, and you can pick up prostate cancer at almost 98% specificity. So Bahamian men are dying in the hundreds every year because of the fear of, and I'll just say even the ignorance that they believe that they're going to be violated, and we no longer do that.
But even if they are violated, it's just for a small period of time and it could essentially save their life. So they still need to come out and get tested, right, Dr. Pinto?
Yes, but I'd like to still stress the fact that we no longer need it. It's not needed. We've gone beyond that in terms of modern urology. There's imaging, including magnetic resonance imaging, that doesn't involve radiation, that we can pick up prostate cancer 8-10 years before the dreaded finger.
All right, thank you so much. That's Dr. Gregory Pinto. You heard him. And so I put a challenge to all of my male colleagues out there. On a serious note, get tested because it could save your life. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks a lot for those tips, Sieska. It's a topic that has sparked a lot of international attention, and over the past few months, the debate over medicinal marijuana has heated up as there are many Bahamians who feel medical marijuana should be legalized in this country. Tomorrow, several international and regional experts will assemble at the British Colonial Hilton to answer some of the ongoing questions Bahamians have about the legalization of the drug. That workshop is expected to take place at 5:30 p.m. Now joining us live in studio to tell us more about the discussion hosted by the Medical Association is President of the Medical Association of the Bahamas, Dr. Marcus Cooper. Welcome to the Morning Edition.
Good morning.
Now, Dr. Cooper, what is the purpose of the conference?
Well, the purpose of the conference is to inform and educate healthcare professionals about marijuana and the medical benefits of it. There have been a lot of claims as to whether or not marijuana should be legalized or decriminalized for medical use. We feel like the evidence and the science behind it is overwhelming, that there is some benefit, but we really need to know the facts about it before we start to make these claims. So the purpose of the conference is to hear from the experts, to hear from people that are in the industry already, either as scientists or as physicians or as distributors, and to really understand what medical marijuana is about, what are the benefits, what are the risks, because there's still a lot of people who seem to think that there are no risks associated with marijuana, but there really are. And what are the concerns that we should all have?
And if approved, Dr. Cooper, what are some of the ailments it will actually be used for?
Well, we know from the science that there are benefits in chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. So for people that are being treated with cancer, they tend to feel very sick during the treatments, and there's some benefits with medical marijuana in that. Also for chronic pain, for people that have this stiffness and spasticity associated with having strokes or multiple sclerosis, there appears to be some benefit with that as well. We also know that for patients with migraines and glaucoma, there also appears to be some benefit. So there are several illnesses that we feel that medical marijuana would be appropriate for. But the science is ongoing. We still have a lot to learn about the drug because it's been illegal for so long, it's kind of slowed down the research. So we're going to be hearing more about that from the experts and people who are actually prescribing medical marijuana for their patients today.
I know you touched on it briefly earlier, but what does the Bahamian public need to know about medical marijuana?
Well, I think the main thing is that it's not a cure-all. People have been discussing marijuana and its benefits in social media and on the news, and a lot of people get the impression that this thing is just good for every disease, and that's not the case. Just like any other drug, there needs to be some scientific research that supports its benefit and that shows that when used in patients with this specific disease that it will help. And we also need to know what are the doses, what's the appropriate dose, just like you would for any drug, what are the side effects. So Bahamians need to know that although there is a benefit, we need to be clear about the science. We need to know what's the appropriate dosing that we should be using, what side effects we should be looking out for, and also how does it affect the adolescent population. We know that marijuana in general has significant effects when it's used in teenagers and young adults and adolescents. So we need to be better informed about the science and about the drug.
Dr. Cooper, thank you so much for joining us here on the Morning Edition.
Thank you.
Stay close. Sports is up next. You're watching the Morning Edition.
Need insurance for your valuables? Shield Insurance is the answer for you, offering friendly, professional service at competitive prices. Our experienced staff at Shield Insurance work hard to ensure that you get the right coverage for your car, home, or business. Now introducing our new premium financing program. designed to make it easier for government workers and employees of approved businesses to receive car and home insurance. Visit Shield Insurance on Thompson Boulevard or call 356-7202.
You thought it was the talk of the town, but get ready for more.
More energy, more excitement, exhilarating, compelling, informative, educational talk on The Conversation.
I'm Shanique Miller. Pull up a chair with a cup of tea and join me weekdays at 4 on Radio Bahamas 1540 AM, 104.5 FM, and The Light 810 AM for The Conversation. I'm excited to have you around the table.
Good morning, everybody. It's that time. The IAAF now in the process of seeking another host for the 2019 IAAF World Relays after the Jamaican government could not provide a written financial backing to the IAAF despite the world governing body extending the period to provide the financial statement. It would have cost Jamaica over $5 million as major renovations would have to have been made to the National Stadium. Jamaica became the preferred destination after the Bahamas, which hosted the first 3 editions of the meet, pulled out. Nazedna told Sports, speaking with Bahamas Olympic General Secretary Deron Donaldson prior to the Jamaican announcement, gave a hint that this was coming after attending the Pan Am meeting last week in Peru.
Actually, what really was important that came up amongst the delegates throughout the Caribbean, because we had over 41 nations there, was the World Relays. And, you know, just saying that it's sad that the Bahamas won't be hosting it, and it was such a brand and a staple here in the Bahamas, and it's more of a Caribbean event. And so it's hard for them to, you know, carry it somewhere. So it's really, they branded it as our game. So that was a huge discussion among delegates. And as we know, Jamaica was interested in hosting it. But when we, you know, were over there and speaking with the Jamaican Olympic president, you know, it doesn't look favorable that they will be hosting the World Relays.
Now, the IAAF will have to find another side. The Bahamas Department of Correction Challengers and Defense Force Mariners playing a back-and-forth game. This one will go right down to the wire, with the Mariners edging it out 72-71 in Bahamas government departmental basketball action at the AF.
Overall, the game for us, it was kind of sloppy, not as fluent as I would have liked it to be. You know, my team have a lot more in them, but right now we just we had a layoff, so everybody just trying to get back, and then they have a lot of guys off, so we trying to get our chemistry back. But we gonna be all right, man. That's the team to beat, regardless of what they said. It's the team to beat, man.
And weather permitting, tonight is one game, win or die, for the New Providence Softball Association Propagale Pool Lady Sharks. They play the game tonight against the Johnson Lady Truckers. And that's going to do it for Sports Check. Quick look, I'm Charles Fisher. Enjoy your day.
Need insurance for your valuables? Shield Insurance is the answer for you, offering friendly, professional service at competitive prices. Our experienced staff at Shield Insurance work hard to ensure that you get the right coverage for your car, home, or business. Now introducing our new premium financing program, designed to make it easier for government workers and employees of approved businesses to receive car and home insurance. Visit Shield Insurance on Thompson Boulevard or call 356-7202.
This week, Arts and Entertainment Showcase is back with another exciting series. Come and take a journey with us. Make new discoveries, meet new friends, get your groove on, and find your inspiration. Watch Arts and Entertainment Showcase Thursday at 8 p.m., Saturday at 7:30 p.m., and Tuesdays at 10 a.m. on the ZNS Network.
In our final look at weather in the tropics, Hurricane Florence remained unchanged, packing winds of 140 miles per hour, moving toward the west-northwest at about 13 miles per hour, still taking aim for the Carolinas, which should make landfall sometime around Thursday morning. And as it makes that trek towards the Carolinas, we can anticipate some very large swells tomorrow, particularly along the coast of Eleuthera in particular. Because of that glass window bridge, we're asking our residents there to exercise extreme caution, particularly during high tides. And then to forecast for today, we're going in for partly sunny conditions, a bit on the hot side with a brief shower in the mix. High temperature around 89 degrees. And tonight, we are looking at patchy clouds and warm, a late shower developing, low temperature down to 78 degrees. And your extended weather forecast over the next 7 days, pretty nice into tomorrow, save for those swells that we expect on the more easterly islands of the archipelago. And then come Thursday and Friday, showers work its way back into our forecast. Weekend looking pretty good with lots of sunshine. LaDawn?
Thanks a lot, Basil, and that does it for the morning edition. Thank you so much for waking up with us. Once again, I'm LaDawn Davis. See you right back here tomorrow morning.